Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 59 of the Discussion 5. We are the Brothers of Discussion, brought to you by our little company called the Brothers of Discussion, and the Hockey Podcast Network that you heard so much about. But for the Brothers of Discussion, please go to spoti.fi and brothersofdiscussion.com to check out everything for the Discussion 5 and the Brothers of Discussion podcast, which is all about pro wrestling. You can find the Discussion 5 at HockeyPodNet. You can find myself at ClinkMet on Twitter, and you can find my brother at Michael_Clink. As the Brothers of Discussion go, we are at BOD Podcast on Twitter. We are the Brothers_of_discussion on Instagram. You could be watching right now on IGTV, and we thank you so much. Please, if you have a second, share this to your story, share it to your page, share it to your Instagram. We'd greatly appreciate it. And we're also now on YouTube, and you could be watching this right now on YouTube. Please subscribe down at the bottom there. I think when I put this out, I'm on the right-hand side. So, yeah, click down there to the subscribe. Hopefully this doesn't flip. Today's episode, well, we already did our, you heard everything about the Hockey Podcast Network, but make sure you go to thehockeypodcastnetwork.com to check everything out. They've got all those awesome shows, and like I talked about in the pre-roll, you've got the House of Hockey podcast, you've got Ice Analytics, the Fourth Line Voice, something, Mike, I hope we get involved in. It looks like almost the entire Hockey Podcast Network got together and did a live show over the weekend. One of the shows not there because we weren't looking at Slack at like 11 at night was your boys, the Discussion 5, and I like to think that we bring an extra level of joy and comedic point of view, and what's the other word I'm looking for? All of our conspiracies. Yes, NHL conspiracies. Speaking of the NHL and I bring up the NHL Canadian conspiracies to make sure the Canadians.
The Detroit Red Wings getting that top pick this year, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's gonna be. You
know what, guys? Let's do the old rules just for this year. Come on, yeah.
Hey, I'll take it.
Let's help Yzerman out. Yeah.
Like, if you look at the last few drafts, we lose that space. We fall down. And there's teams.
Nobody likes Ken Holland, man.
Yeah, and everybody loves Steve Yzerman. That's probably true.
Yeah.
But everybody is loving right now, Mike. If you're a season ticket holder, you're loving the Detroit Red Wings coming out this week with the announcement. And I kind of want to do this for two reasons. One, if you haven't seen it yet and you are a Red Wings season ticket holder, here's this information. And number two, to kind of like high five the Red Wings. Like, good for you guys putting this all together. So, all fans have the opportunity to receive a refund for missed March and April games. Good job, Wings. Hopefully nobody put down any money for playoff tickets this year. I remember even last year, that was a thing, was that you could still, like, they still did like a playoff drive because I get involved in all the season ticket holder malarkey.
Wow, I got optimistic, huh?
Yeah, right. You could put down money and you could say, I if we make it to the playoffs, I want tickets, but if we don't make it, it goes to next season. So,
I know operations and like factoring the salary cap is dependent on people planning for the future. That's why they push that so much, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like day of, it's great that we got you in the stadium, but we want to keep planning ahead and know that we have that money in the future. It's a little bit like an investment, so they're investing in the fan so that they know that they have money coming. But goddamn, this year's playoffs, come on, man! What they should have done is said that, hey, put money down for 2025 playoffs, man. We're going to be wheeled and dealed in 5 years. So if you just stay alive, all right? Put your money down. We're going to be here for you, all right? Lafreniere is going to be just about to hit his prime. Down, yeah. Hockey Town. Hockey Town. No.
Well, this is where it starts to take a turn, though. Is that you can put down or take the money that you were supposed to be refunded,
Yeah.
and put it to next season, and you get a 30% bonus credit. So you can just let the Red Wings. You're like, I don't want to deal with the mail. I don't want to worry about a direct deposit back to my credit card or my bank account.
That sounds
Detroit
hard.
Red Wings, you
Isn't
hang
there a
on
way
to
I
that
can
money.
keep giving the Red Wings my money?
How am I
even know
supposed to
what
get all
next
my
season's gonna
Halloween
look like.
stuff if I don't get my money back? But I do like that they're
Son
doing.
of a bitch. Well, go ahead.
You get a 30% bonus credit, so that's pretty nice.
Oh.
And then single game purchasers, you just got to go to Ticketmaster. You are fucked. So yeah, there's that.
I gotta say, it's kind of a weird, like, patting themselves on the back. Like, what was the other option? You just, hey, it's not our fault there's COVID. You gave us money. You missed the game. You didn't show up. Like, I hope there's a refund of some sort. What kind of announcement is this?
Well, it's at least getting things moving in the right direction. Like we always play that game on our pro wrestling show where I say, is this better than the alternative? You know, are we taking at least a step in the right direction? And usually what's funny is we play that game with things that are like culturally relevant. Like we're saying, should they be doing wrestling in Saudi? Should women have a more prominent face? And then for the Detroit Red Wings, it's, well, they're hanging on to these people's money and it's not being used for anything. So maybe it should go back.
All right, listen. I know, but why does it sound like we're run by Mr. Krabs? All right, one free glass of water. Like, wait, I had a 4-pack of family. Like, tickets, I had food I was going to order. You know, I had my parking pass purchased. All right. 2 glasses of water. Like, come on, Mr. Krabs. Come on.
How many napkins will it take to get you off my porch?
Also, for not practicing Mr. Krabs impressions, I'm going to give those a couple of B pluses. So
yeah!
But yeah, Matt, there's I can't believe what you just said is news. Like, it should have just been in the fine print. But
that's how little news. Like, we finally run out of news because we probably talked the NHL draft like 2 weeks too early, because as we're sitting here today, by the time this episode airs, we could have an announcement this Monday morning. But there's been no movement on the draft announcements. There's just rumors. One of the other things that's happened is former Detroit Red Wing Luc Robitaille made. I guess he's sort of like leaking information. So in his role with the LA Kings, he's sort of saying, like, here's what we've been talking about in these meetings where they say, don't tell anybody what's going on. But Luc Robitaille basically said, yeah, it looks like we're just going to skip the playoffs, or skip the regular season and go right into the playoffs. So we talked about that last week, but it just kind of, that was the news in the NHL this week, or at least most recently in the last couple days, is Luc Robitaille saying, out of turn, I'm going to say very accurately out of turn, because he's the only guy saying it. So I'm pretty sure he's not supposed to say it. But his confirmation and talking out of turn pretty much says that's what's going to happen. And you know what we've also seen in the last couple weeks with all of these rumors of us jumping right into the playoffs. Along with that are like start dates. This 24 teams that are going in, which we don't know all the details on how those 24 teams are going to work things out and get it down to 16. But yeah, when you get those kind of details, you know that there's been, like, they're closer to making the move into doing it compared to not doing it. And then of course mixed in with all of this is the Red Wings going, here's all your money back for these games, which is pretty much making it official. I feel like if these regular season games were still going to be played, and there was, they haven't made an official announcement yet on people coming to the games or not. And now it just kind of seems like these games are going to be canceled. So the Red Wings, in another sense, just like Luc Robitaille talking out of turn, the Red Wings are sort of confirming that, yes, the NHL has made, the conversation has happened, that this regular season isn't happening and there's no point in holding on to the season ticket holder money. So
yeah, it sounds more and more like, we're getting closer to that guarantee of the Red Wings getting a top 1 or 2 pick. And this return to play committee, they didn't meet just once a week, Matt. Big news. They actually met twice this past week. So
Woo!
whoa. It sounds like they're gonna do maybe some weird little round robin tournament to start, and then maybe some bye weeks or something for the top seeds.
I've seen some stuff thrown out there. An interesting listen is the Puck Soup podcast that accidentally. It was so silly. They accidentally came up with you got the for the bottom the bottom 8, they have to do a couple weeks playing each other. You get 2 points for a win, and and then they got through explaining what they were doing, and then one of the guys was like, "Wait, you just recreated the regular season. That's all." No, that's not an idea. You can't just do the regular season again.
Right.
I
saw, the ideas I liked, because all we're trying to do is, if we're going to play, let's just, play in the bubble. So it looks like maybe they're getting to the point where they're further narrowing down the teams. And, like if Toronto ends up being one of the hosts, which looks like a strong likelihood, just like little details are coming through. Like then Toronto wouldn't be playing in Toronto, so they wouldn't essentially get home ice all the way through. And then essentially
home ice is going to be such a distant thought, though, right? Because wouldn't they all be they're all going to be in a hotel room near the.
If we end up getting like people 6 feet apart from each other, I still think I like that idea. And then one thing they said they might do is like having the conference finals and the Stanley Cup finals will all be in the same bubble as well. So again, just try to limit the travel as much as possible and have these guys, not have to move around all over the country. Have them, each division, they try to divvy it up that way.
Yeah.
They each play in their own little bubble. So it looks like they're getting to a point where we might see some NHL hockey here before September. So optimistic.
We'll point out too here that they're going to go to number. They were talking number 24. So I went right to the standings right now. So that means I will be rooting for the Montreal Canadiens to win it all, because they are number 24 right now in the standings. And why would you not root for the absolute worst team out of this 24-team bracket?
Yeah, didn't they just dump a bunch of players at the deadline too?
Yeah. All right, or you know what? It could be Buffalo, actually, based on points percentage. 71. I don't know. I'm not looking at a points percentage list, so somebody else probably has this memorized or knows it better than me. So it's either New Jersey, Buffalo, or Montreal will be my champion. All right, Mike, speaking of championing things, it's our weekly opportunity to remind you that Manscaped is our sponsor. The Lawnmower 3.0 is here to make sure that your pubis are gently cut and groomed and looking good for yourself, for the lady in your life, for the man in your life, for whomever.
For your fans only account?
For your fans only account. All right, Mike, I have this very nice webcam. I keep seeing the videos online of everybody's Zoom conversations at work, and I'm like, how come nobody has a nice webcam? And then I realized, only because, not that I have an OnlyFans account, but it's like only people with OnlyFans accounts actually spend money on a nice webcam. Not like I shouldn't have.
I know
spent
the job
money.
hunt hasn't been going that well, but Matthew.
Well, I lost a little bit of weight this year, and I've got some free time every now and then.
Yep. Roll up into that fetal position, grab your ankles, Matt. Let's see what's in there. All right.
Man, that was a good time to tell Mom and Dad to stop listening. Yeah, so for my if I had an OnlyFans account, I'd want to make sure that I was properly groomed, and that's where the Lawnmower 3.0 comes in. The engineering team spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. It's the third generation, and that just tells you most of the story here, Mike. They've gone through 2 iterations, and they just keep improving. Millions of balls are about to be nick-free thanks to this skin-safe technology. Mike, you got a battery that's going to last you 90 minutes. You could just be grooming all day long. You've got your LED light to shine where the sun don't shine. The mower's nice and quiet for you. You got the charging dock powered by the USB. I know for myself, it's nice and easy and convenient to just load up right in the bathroom. You don't want to hide it. You've got the beautiful little charger set up. It looks nice and clean. It looks like a piece of art that you're putting up, letting everybody know that your pubis are nice and trimmed. Now, if you want your pubis nice and trimmed, go on over to manscaped.com. Use promo code THPN, which, of course, in line with the Hockey Podcast Network there, you're going to get 20% off your Lawnmower 3.0 and get free shipping. 20% off, free shipping. Go to manscaped.com. Use code THPN. Mike, it is now time for us to do, as we continue week to week, our 2001 NHL Redraft. We've been going since, 1998?
Yeah.
And in that time, what did we do? That was, so the 1998 draft was right after the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup, the second time in a row. So now we're in the 2001 draft. So this is the draft leading up to the Red Wings winning in 2001 and 2002. I guess as storylines go for this draft, there aren't too many fun ones like the Vancouver Canucks trading up to make sure they get the Sedin twins. There's no expansion draft, but at least from a Detroit Red Wings perspective, there ain't too much to write home about for this draft, besides the fact that we're going to win the Cup going into the season. So do you want a good draft or do you want a Stanley Cup? Will be a memory for the rest of your life. Stanley Cup, please.
Yeah, the Red Wings draft was a little underwhelming, but Matt, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that the Red Wings did draft future WWE champion and Hall of Famer Drew McIntyre.
Very true.
Yep, with I think it was like the 100 and who knows pick, but one of the great names, and another one of the great names that a prospect that our dad really grew attached to, I think because of the Igor Larionov, was Igor Grigorenko, who we'd always get these stories. Grigorenko, he's working on that wrist shot down in Grand Rapids. He's working on his playmaking. He's a lot like Larionov. You guys are going to love him. If you love Larionov, you're going to love Grigorenko. He's like a fast Larionov. So he's like Larionov, but fast. And he scores goals. And he'll throw his body out there, play a little D. Never really materialized. But what a name. What a name. What a name for the Red Wings here. It's okay. Like you said, we did win the Lord Stanley's Cup that season. You can't be too upset. It wasn't even Matt. We're almost at, we don't want to necessarily dive into the categories, but I will argue this wasn't even the worst draft across the NHL.
Well, I'd throw in there too is here's an interesting little tidbit is we also picked up Dmitry Bykov late in the draft. Let me get this number exactly right. Number 258. He played 71 games for us, and he played 71 games for us the very next season. Goes way against like the normal protocol for Detroit Red Wings and their prospects. It was like they were trying to play the game of picking up Pavel, and he was we drafted him and he was 23 at the time. Ends his career at 24. He never played another game. And that to me, this is even at 23, and you get one season in Grand Rapids. That felt like they were trying to force like another Pavel Datsyuk or Henrik. I mean, they didn't know what Zetterberg was yet, but Datsyuk plays his first season, and then they look at the list. They're like, well, who else did we draft in the 200s? And Dmitry Bykov's name comes up. Throw him in there. Plays 71 games. It's quite a bit. But yeah, what do we have? 2 goals, 10 assists, 12 points. Nothing, nothing to really, I would love 12 points in the NHL. But yeah, then and that was the end for Bykov. But I thought that little tidbit was kind of interesting that he played the very next season, even though he was older. definitely goes against what we saw for the Red Wings for like the next 15 years in regards to like prospect development and things like that. But yeah, you were saying the probably a worse draft than the Detroit Red Wings.
Somebody managed to do it, Matt.
Yeah.
You want to jump right into the categories?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm really, this was a fun year for this team because, it was the New York Islanders. Far and away, they had, was it eight total picks, and they got 8 total man games played.
Woo!
Rough. They didn't have a cool name like Grigorenko. They did not get Drew McIntyre. They did not get the nice Red Wing outline you gave us a moment ago. They also did not have any first or second rounders. F, if we were to regrade this draft, Matt. F. It looked like their GM here was basically in full fuck this shit mode because the previous season they played a lot of young guys. They got like 56 points. And it was just a massive overhaul the next year. That's when they, picked up Osgood. They got my boy Garth Snow. Garth! They got Michael Pekka. And the big trade, man. They went all in. The previous season, they had the 6'9", monster himself, Zdeno Chara, who, is what was it? What was that heartbreaking moment where it looked like the Mountain versus the Viper in Game of Thrones? What Red Wing tried to fight Zdeno Chara? Who was it?
I know Brendan Smith put up his dukes.
And Chara just kind of had like this kind of bemused smirk on his face because he could just hold him at arm's length and just bam, like one big, like Thanos punch.
Yeah, next time, look that up before you say it, because I know that happened a couple times. Because
it's not a rare. Yeah, people have tried to fight him in the past. It was a YouTube rabbit hole I went down once. Look up people trying to fight Zdeno Chara, and he just wins every fight. But Zdeno was a baby at that time, and he had a pretty rough outing. What was he like? I think minus 27 his first year or two with the Islanders.
Yeah, he went two straight years, and the Islanders pretty much said, "Fuck this."
Yeah, they just said "fuck it," and they bundled him with the number 2 pick, who ended up being pretty good, man. And Matt, how come I can't say Jason Spezza?
I don't know. You said it right now.
Hey, there we go. I don't know why I always want to call him Pizza. I don't know. Jason's Pizza. Spezza, who, he was he still playing this year? I think so. Yeah. And they went all in. So the management went in for Alexi Ashen, who admittedly was pretty good. Not quite a point a game guy, but like right on that nose. And, they decided to go all in and actually turned it around and like almost doubled their season points, changing their goalies. They just gave up on DiPietro. He didn't play a single game this season. It was all Ozzy. They had Yashin, Michael Pekka.
And DiPietro had all of his injury problems from like day one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame him for that. That's what they had to do. It was such a radically different team.
Yeah, and I think that was part of the Islanders' decision making. So they have this shithole of a draft. They make that trade, right, and lose. I don't know if you say at the time he was a top prospect. We have no idea, but trading away Zdeno Chara, and an amazing first round pick, end up going at number 2.
For me, it just feels tough to give up on the number 2 pick, and I feel like the NHL had started to like figure out drafting at this point, like as far as the international flavor, because like when we started doing this project 98, 99, 2000, and we're going to get to it in a minute, but you'd find these dead soup diamond in the rough picks, these guys who were drafted like 200th, who ended up being the best player in the draft. And it seemed like in this draft we're starting to get pretty close to all the best players kind of being in that top 10, top 15.
The scouting's coming around.
Yeah. So to give up on number 2 like that, woo! and a prospect, a 6'9" monster defenseman.
Hey,
Woo!
you could make the argument based on the rest of their picks, right? Like they're like, our scouting department sucks. Let's just get rid of this pick. Let's get the best player available. Let's try and be competitive. They end up being second place in their division this season, second to the Flyers. If that's not me like remembering the standings from that long ago. I looked it up, but yeah, you basically trade away a second pick to get into second place in your division, and of course, like we know there's no Stanley Cups. We know, this is pretty much then the Islanders waiting till the Tavares era, and now it's the Matt Barzal era. So yeah, it's just like this is one of those decisions that really just sunk the ship. I made the comment, not a lot of storylines coming into this draft, but right on day one, on draft day, that's a storyline that the Islanders are probably still mad at themselves for, because you stay kind of competitive, and this is a great lesson for Detroit Red Wings fans. Ever too mad about, a free agent signing not coming in the last couple years, or worried about us tanking? This is it. This is why you don't want to be mediocre. Look at what happened to the Islanders for so long. You trade away your future just for like a couple of competitive seasons, or to make sure that your fans are still tuning in the next night.
Yep.
It's just not worth it to me.
Patience here for sure. I mean,
yeah.
I would have just kept, you got to keep building with those, top 5 picks.
And the Red Wings have that terrible draft, but they also have a huge wallet that they're going to prove in the offseason. So this is before all of the free agent signings start. And then we already have, an amazing core that every year we were a contender for the Stanley Cup. And of course, in this upcoming season, the 01-02 season, we just kind of went, yeah, let's not just be like a contender. Let's just buy the Stanley Cup right now. Let's get this over with. Yeah, just two different ways to kind of think about when you're trading away picks. And I think if you're getting a second pick, that's not when you're trading away your picks. It's when you're picking 30th. One more I wanted to throw out I thought was interesting was a couple of trades with the Detroit Red Wings, trading away the 95th pick a year before, so that Nashville actually took it, and then they trade that pick to the Flyers. Flyers end up drafting Patrick Sharp, who is a thorn in our side for his entire career. I thought just kind of an interesting note. This is a movement of some names that we talked about before that didn't really pan out too much for the Detroit Red Wings, so the pick that they ended up getting. But the 95th pick goes to Patrick Sharp. Like just interesting to know that he I hated his guts the entire time he was with the Blackhawks, and now to know that taking these deeper dives, that it was our pick that brought him into the league. Maybe he didn't do enough research and thought that we just traded straight to Philly, and then he was like, I'm gonna get those Red Wings, and he didn't realize that we had traded the pick to the Predators, and the Predator. All right, never mind. Anyway, moving on. I really like that we had the pick that had Sharp involved. But what else we got here?
I gotta say the loser. It's hard to argue against the Islanders because they traded in that. Yeah, it's like scaled Band-Aid, for the future.
We're tied for terrible drafts, but then if you go into the next season, would you rather have a Stanley Cup, or would you rather have would you rather have the second place finish in your division and then turd sandwich for a while?
Yeah, I mean, and if we're gonna pick a winner of this draft, it's really hard to not pick Ottawa, who, not only did they, I'll say they got the best player in Spezza. I mean, their next pick was Tim Gleason, a defenseman who played, 727 games. A couple more guys who played, a couple hundred games. My boy Ray Emery. Woo, yeah, Ray. Not enough Rays in the world. Matt, if you have a son, please give him Ray.
Your niece's middle name is Ray. I don't know if you remember that.
No, first name. R-A-Y.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Christopher Schubert.
You just gave that one away. I can't wait to go tell Michelle.
I'm gonna get. I'm
Your
never
one
gonna be able to
niece.
live that down. And it's recorded. Son of a bitch.
Yep, you're fucked.
If you can't tell, I don't know what the lighting's like in here. My face is so red right now. It's like on fire. Oh my God. I don't know how I'm going to get through the rest of this draft or any other NHL podcast
This
that I do with you.
This is the part of our recording that I'm going to split up into an ad and make sure the whole world hears it.
God damn it. No.
Little Addie Ray's going to be going through, oh, you did a podcast, Dad? Yeah, check it out. Here's the old ads I made.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, is that Uncle Mike? Yep.
Does he mention me at all? He does the opposite.
How come he doesn't know my name? I don't know.
It's Addie. I don't use Ray. God damn it. All right. I'm so humiliated right now.
Well, I'll jump into my winner was the San Jose Sharks.
I really Islanders that one. But the San Jose Sharks over Ottawa, who got the best player?
Well, I mean, we're talking the scouting department too. So I mean, the Sharks pick up Marcel Gottsch, Christian Ehrhoff, and another thorn in our side, at least during the playoffs, Ryan Clough.
God damn it, I hate Ryan Clough.
Yeah,
I hate him.
I thought this. I mean, it doesn't turn out, that all of these guys stick around with the Sharks, and we've talked about this every year. Like, we're talking about the scouting department making these good picks and going late into the draft, and Ryan Clough goes at 175, and he picks up, 300 points in 500 games, like 3/5 of a point every game. That's not bad, especially picking at 175. How many guys do we look at in this draft that never even play a game? So hell of a job there. That was my pick earlier. Somebody New York Islanders my notes on that, so I had to go back and take a look.
No. You know what? I like Ottawa. I think made the most for their future with their pick, but San Jose, 1, 2, 3, they went 6 for 6. Their guys playing in some capacity in the NHL. So I think that's a pretty solid.
I think
best scouting department pick.
A good transition from this is the award that I like to do for these drafts is the Good Boy Award, because what did I just mention with San Jose is that some of the guys they draft and in previous years when you're a scouting department winner, they don't stick around on your team. But I like the Good Boy Award because you get a guy that you draft and he sticks around forever and he's successful. So the Good Boy Award goes to the Minnesota Wild, and drafting Mikko Koivu, plays 1,000 games, ends up with 700 points. His point share for his career is 70.2, is fantastic. I think he ends up being in the top 10 of all draft picks in the draft. But you can't. All these guys get moved so much. It's just it's so eye-opening to me how many of these guys that end up having good careers are even moved before they even play their first game. But it is Mikko Koivu. I thought very interesting. So we're talking the 2001 draft. I'm pretty sure off the top of my head after doing this. Actually, you know what? I can click on this tab. But he went so long before actually getting into the NHL. His first season was 2005, 2006. And that's a guy you draft. I just thought that was so interesting because you draft him at 6. So you have to know he's got something. But they're essentially drafting a guy for potential at number 6 because they don't play him until 2005. So they said this is a project. This is a 4 to 5 year project. And he's still going to be great. So, interesting. Is it the Wild making a mistake keeping him out for so long, or did they just know it was a long-term thing?
Nothing like talking out of both sides of your mouth here.
So is it a bad scouting or a bad good boy move is what you're saying?
Because, they're super patient with Koivu, right? But they also drafted the Yuri Depita oldest player in the draft. So his name this year, Matt, for if this is your first redraft with the discussion 5 here, Yuri DePita was old as F, and he was drafted. We had him he was age 31, and he was picked. Not that late either. I want to say he was a 4th rounder. Matt, another 4th rounder here, also picked by the Minnesota Wild, who took Koivu and let him marinate. So what would you say, 2005?
Yeah, 05, 06. And then he's still 22.
Took Tony Virta.
What?
The ripe age of
Tony,
29. Who played 8 games. So it's like, we want to be patient with Koivu, but let's get this 29-year-old man in the 4th round.
Well, I do like the Anaheim Ducks at pick 232 take Martin Gerber, who's playing in the Swiss League at 27, and then he ends up playing 229 games. So that's not bad. Taking these old guys, you got to throw them right in there. Throw them into the fire. 27-year-old Swiss goaltender. That's what I like about that idea. Like back then when there were so many older guys drafted because they were still pulling from these, it was like, we could draft from the Swiss League? All right, give me, send somebody over there. I don't care how old they are. They're becoming an NHL star. Beer league or not. I do, the last episode we did, the 2000 draft, Roman Cechmanek making it into my top 10, because even though he only played a few seasons, they were fantastic seasons, especially compared to now save percentages and things like that of his 920 for a career. Jesus. All right.
Well, I was just going to say we got a couple more categories here before we do the redraft. We have our Datsyuk Diamond in the Rough winner. So I guess the criteria is, are you pretty good and were you drafted somewhere in like the 200s? That's pretty much what we're going by here. That's how official that gets. Matt, it's got to be hard to not pick Mike Smith on this one. The dude had, his apex season, he had a 93% save percentage. And I remember you did a spit take when we were going over that in the notes. Crazy good numbers. I think he had like 8 shutouts that year. He had some Vezina votes. He had some Hart votes. He's an all-star. But man, he did one of my favorite things as a goaltender. He actually scored a goal.
Woo!
So didn't factor into his in the long run. His acumen as an NHL player. But I always like notating that stuff. And he's still playing, Matt. We're looking at 19 years after this draft. He's still out.
Yeah, not up to the Hart Trophy voting season, but
yeah, it's not the same season.
He's still out there.
Let's make sure that that's mentioned. But yeah, so bravo to him. We knock out all the categories here, Matt.
Yeah, just compared to the season before, we were talking about 9 guys that played 800 plus games, and we were kind of like saying what a shit draft. 18 guys playing 800 plus games is what you notated at the top. 5 played 1,000 plus. This draft had more depth guys in it. I think as we keep going along here, and it's not always about finding the elite or the franchise player, but some good depth guys coming through with the 18 playing 800 plus games. And again, think about 18 guys. That's filling up one hockey team. That's on a draft. And think, some of these guys are drafted on the same team, kind of thing, is what we talked about with some of the winners. Some of the loser teams get absolutely nobody out of this draft. But yeah, you're hoping for one of those 18 guys, right? Or along the line. You kind of look at what Steve Yzerman's been doing and picking up all these other first round picks. And what a great strategy we're seeing that is, because of how many teams that we dub, as I dub, the San Jose Sharks as one of my winners for the draft. But do they hold on to everybody that I like in the draft, or even previous seasons that we've talked about in the winners? No, we're talking about a scouting department winning. So Yzerman's strategy of picking up these other teams' first-round picks, and I can only assume that's going to continue this upcoming season, and he's just going to keep trying to find some guys that just haven't, maybe they've Zdeno Chara so far. They had shit seasons, they were on shit teams, but if they come around and get enough, hit the restart button on their career, maybe they can turn it around and end up playing 3 different decades, and becoming one of the most popular players on the team. Like, still sticking with the Zdeno Chara reference. And then, stay away from the Ilya Kovalchuks that play forever, but will ditch you on a drop of a hat and end up having one of the worst plus minuses of all time. All right, let's do. Are we doing our redraft now? We got all of our notes in there?
I think we knocked out all the categories. Yeah.
So, Mike, you're the lucky duck today that gets to go. You get to go first.
I did that deep dive on the Islanders, and I think they really screwed the pooch on this one. Because not only did they give up the number 2 pick, Matt, they gave up the number 1 pick in our redraft, Jason Spezza.
Woo!
You're getting a guy who more points, better plus minus than anybody else in the field. From this draft. All-star, he gets the Lady Bing votes. But one caveat we always like to mention when you get Lady Bing votes, because of when we're doing this, these 2000 to 2010 redrafts here.
Yeah.
Just don't even bother trying to win it, because this is like the overlap when you have Datsuk. So don't bother. You're not going to win. You'll get a few votes, and that should be good enough for you. But, I mean, longevity, he basically only played for Ottawa till 2014, 15. Just solid dude. He had, what was his apex here? It was 92 points. You get a long career. You get a guy who's basically still playing here at 36 years of age.
Basically is the key word there, because he's out there.
He's out there. All right, his last couple of years have not been super overwhelming. You'll just be properly whelmed. But he's a leader. And I think now he's playing on Dallas. Man, is he on their third line now? Is he scratching by on the fourth? Oh no, he's on Toronto.
Yeah, he's on Toronto. Because he's been a part of those storylines of Mike Babcock, like keeping him out of like Ottawa Senators games and things like that. Like him going back to Ottawa kind of thing, like going back to debt. Like he was just Babcock was being a dick. That's where some of that stuff came into play. Anyway, I don't know if we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, let's not dive into that. Matt, you got the number 2 pick here. So who would Ottawa have been stuck with if the best player was gone?
Yeah. So I mean, Ottawa's picking up a center. And I've been pretty high. And you get a career superstar out of this. And I think at the time Ottawa, I'm going to stick with the position, probably for dumb reasons. You look at the Thrashers would take Spezza because they were just taking whoever was the top guy in the draft rated. But now that we know Kovalchuk, he's not really like a problem guy, especially as I get older. I think when you're a super fan, you get kind of mad at these players that make these decisions about themselves. And then the older you get, the more you realize, like, fuck, I would have done that. I don't give a shit about this city that drafted me and owns me. So in that sense, it might sound like I'm taking Ilya Kovalchuk. I'm just saying, I guess for the 3rd pick, you have a nice easy one, because you can have Ilya. But I'm gonna take Mikko Koivu. So in that, I'm saying I don't hate Ilya Kovalchuk. But I do like the idea now that you get a career guy, you get the guy who wins the Good Boy Award, and maybe there's an opportunity here for Ottawa to play Koivu a little bit earlier. So he's going my number 2.
Wow, you mother trucker! I was all geared up, man. So
so now you get the worst pick. One of the worst picks in the draft is you get a 3rd pick from Tampa Bay, who just completely bones this one.
They
super huge bust.
The bed. Yeah. So I'm gonna help them out here, man. I'm gonna help them out so much that I'm going to borrow the lovely scouting department of the Buffalo Sabres, and we're taking Jason Pominville. Woo! Kovalchuk, just keep on dropping, baby. You know what time it is. Yeah, that's right, little Limp Bizkit reference. But my man Pominville, man, he's part of one of my favorite trends here. Another guy where got Lady Bing votes, but you're not going to win. Just get those votes. You're not going to win. Solid guy, scored, on average about 60 points a season. He's playing on the wing. And again, it's just another little jab there at Kovalchuk, who we know does not play any defense. So just keep on dropping, baby. Woo, man. You're up.
All right. So I feel like, right, the easy thing to do here is to pick up Kovalchuk and...
Uh-oh. Is he going to do it? Is he going to break the seal?
I feel like it just makes sense, like, at this point. So we're talking Florida Panthers. They end up taking our best buddy, Stephen Weiss. Absolutely. Right?
Oh, yep.
Future Detroit Red Wing. Didn't quite pan out as a fourth pick coming out of the draft. What's so funny is how much of this, like, we're putting it together, and I'm just barely listening to your point because I'm trying to figure out, is there a better option for the Florida Panthers? And it's like the draft, like instead of like 10 minutes to pick, I have like 30 seconds to figure out what I'm gonna do. But yeah, I mean, you look at some of the different options, and even from a goaltender perspective, you're not really changing the outcome for a team completely with some of these career numbers. Maybe if you start somebody a little bit earlier. But yeah, the easy pick here for Florida is just let's pick up Kovalchuk. He's not making it into this picture behind me. He's now shipping himself off down to Florida.
There you go. Matt, he can ruin Florida for a while. They deserve that after tricking us into Stephen Weiss's inflated value.
He still walks away. Yeah, maybe we end up with Kovalchuk.
Yeah,
he still walks away with the second best point share. So I still think that's enough to write home about. Like, we probably should have just taken him second, because it's Kovalchuk. But I'm okay with what happened.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll move on. We'll do the Ducks here. They also needed to kind of redo their choice in left wings, and I'm going to help them out here, man, with another former thorn in the Red Wings side. Give me Patrick Sharp.
Nice. I like it.
I thought you were going to throw up because that guy was definitely a wing killer for a little while there.
Yeah, the Ducks and the Red Wings had an okay rivalry. When you talk about like the
so it'd be kind of a smooth transition for him to go from Chicago to
right, like the Pronger Niedermeyer years where I hated that. I hated playing the Ducks, but then we always still kind of came out on top, so I was okay with it. I think maybe I just hated the idea that we would come into another round of the playoffs with the Ducks, and I'd have to look at Niedermeyer and Pronger's faces. And well, so everybody would tout them as like, well, look at those superstars over there, and you know what? Then we had to stay up till 10 o'clock to watch those goddamn games. That was anyway. Where was I? All right, so I've got the poor Minnesota Wild lose out on Koivu here. So I think the nicest thing to do for them is to probably just head right back to who's gonna have a great career. I don't know if I need to stick with the center, but I'm going to, and I'm gonna make it easy for you, Mike, so you don't have to say his name later. But I'm gonna go Jussi Jokinen.
Thank God.
Yeah,
I wanted to call him Juicy so bad. You have no idea.
It's actually Jussi. So I'll take Jokinen here. What was that?
I'm reading Juicy. I don't know what you're looking at. Go ahead.
So I'm taking Jokinen here. Minnesota gets that crystal ball. They still get their center to fit in here, and again, the good boy award goes away. So maybe Jokinen, instead of what his career track ended up being, maybe he becomes the new good boy. But now he's in Minnesota Wild, so we'll see how that works out.
All right. What team coming up next year? I got Montreal, and as we've been doing these, it feels like their scouting department has usually been like in the top 5, where they're picking a pretty good batch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call their current pick a misfire, but they didn't really get the best defenseman, and that's what they're going to do here. They're going to get Dan Hamhuis, a dude who, let's say 2011, 12, 13. Pretty solid 3 years there together, Matt, where he's getting to be an all-star. He's getting Norris votes. He also did one of my favorite things, Matt, in 2015-16, getting those Lady Bang votes. Yeah,
Nice.
Bring him in. Yeah, solid dude. Still playing. So he started in Nashville. Played a bit in Vancouver, went to Dallas, and now he's back home. He's back home in Nashville. He hasn't scored in 2 years, but he's a great guy to have in the locker room at this point, Matt. And I think that Montreal would be happy to have those 3 years back to back of basically a top 16 defenseman in the NHL. So give me Dan.
Well, I've got the easy one here because the Columbus Blue Jackets were thinking goaltender, and these goaltenders are never like projected to be the number 1 pick, or at least
Right.
nowadays, right? I guess we had Carey Price, but nowadays you're not going to put a goaltender at the top. It just seems so wishy-washy, and St. Louis Blues luck out and throw in a guy who's been a career AHLer, and then then they win the Stanley Cup. But anyway, we have the crystal ball, so we can at least find a guy that's going to be better than 173 career games, a guy that gets traded away. That I actually remember Pascal Leclair, who was taken at number 8. I thought of him as an Ottawa Senator first, and that's where he did get moved to. But let's make this nice and easy for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they're going to get Mike Smith, who again is going to have those career years, the 2011-2012 year where he's getting like Hart Trophy votes. For a goaltender. It's amazing. But the Columbus Blue Jackets at number 8 get to take future Hart Trophy candidate Mike Smith. And hopefully with the crystal ball, and they know he's going to be doing better, he gets his career started a little bit earlier than actually what did happen.
Well, it gives number 9 for me, and it's Chicago Blackhawks. And it's one of my favorite things here. It's when you play in the Midwest, is getting a player from the Midwest. And that's what I'm going to redo. I'm going to redo this pick for the Blackhawks, who did not take a terrible player in Ruutu, man.
Nope.
He's a pretty solid dude, but I think we can give him a slight upgrade, and we'll give him a guy from the Midwest. Give me Mike Camilleri, dude from Michigan.
Nice pick. Yeah.
Not too crazy a season. He did have 82 points once. It was for Calgary. But this dude, he definitely floated around a lot more. He would not get that good boy award. He was bouncing all over the league. But maybe that means he's just adaptable. He was productive basically everywhere he played. Solid career, and he played all the way up till he was 35. So I don't think you can be too upset about that.
Yeah, and I think Mike Camilleri there is a fantastic pick because you talk almost 2/3 of a point per game for his career. The more that we do this, the more we see how tough it is to hit a point per game. Nobody on this list can actually say that they reached that. Nobody in this draft, So it's just and you have he's got a couple years in there where the rules kind of work against forwards. So I just, 100%. I love this pick of Camilleri, and it makes so much sense. Like the scouting department of Chicago getting to see Camilleri firsthand, considering he's playing just on the other side of Lake Michigan there. But number 10, I get another easy one because, again, we make that argument. The Rangers are actually looking for a goaltender. Little did they know their franchise goaltender was drafted the year before. But that still hasn't been worked out all the way, right? So I guess we're saying as the years go, we're not saying that our draft from 2000 actually counts for 2001. But I do still like the idea that the Rangers are trying. So maybe they don't even pick up Lundqvist because, Mike, they're actually going to go. I mean, this isn't an amazing pick, but I took Mike Smith first because he does have that awesome year for Columbus. But if you take a look at the career numbers, we're talking about like save percentage, it actually is Craig Anderson that has the better season. He's still, just like Mike Smith, still playing today. So this is your career goaltender. This is a guy you can now. Craig Anderson hasn't always been, top goaltender on every team he's played for. He's had some struggles, but I think if you're talking about a guy that you draft in 2001 and you get to look at your roster and possibly say, "Oh, good, he's still between the pipes." And then I think he ends up with the best point share. And again, those are inflated for goaltenders, but an extra 120 points as you go through his 648 games played. I think you take that. I think if you're playing like the analytics game and you say every time, I'm going to play Craig Anderson over these almost 20 years. He's still got, some development. Then his season's going to start. So what are we talking? Like around 15 years of play. He's going to play half those games inside there, and there's 120 points I get to add to my team's standing. I think the New York Rangers would definitely take that. I think when we talked last week about Henrik Lundqvist, they obviously prefer that. Don't have him yet. He's not playing yet. So just to kind of keep along with what the situation was at the time. And we're not playing, crystal ball rolling over year to year. So the Rangers are going to take Craig Anderson and wrap up the top 10 here for our draft picks.
Yeah, I'll say the last thing we want to do, Matt, is what would the Red Wings have redone? Would they have still taken Igor Grigorenko? Because I think that what we should have done is pick arguably the best name in this whole draft, and that's Marek Zidlicki. And his apex, it totally overlapped with when the Red Wings are still trying to win Stanley Cup. But he came out of the gate hot when he finally got the call up for Nashville. Getting 50 points a season. He was getting Norris votes. Made the All-Star game. And I mean, he was solid. In that 08 year when we were good, 2012. Would have been kind of fun. I know he had a cup of coffee with us, at the end of his career there. But I loved saying Zidlicki. Was that Jim Houston who said it like that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, if we're playing crystal ball, there's no way that Zidlicki's making it to our 62nd pick. So that would be tough to see him drop that far. But if he's available at 62, let's take him. Hell yeah.
Another vote for Zidlicki. All right, man, we're ready to ride off into the sunset.
We definitely are. Everybody, keep listening so you can hear about our cool hockey giveaway. Things are looking good. We're talking about some discounts. So just hang around, hear about our cool hockey contest and how you could be winning some gift cards and cash for coolhockey.com. And thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll be hitting you up with 2002 draft after the Red Wings win the Stanley Cup. Let me line this up here. This is so funny. I'm trying to close out the show while I'm talking. Thanks for tuning in. Find us at brothers_of_discussion on Instagram. You can actually just follow us there. We keep updating the episodes. We've got our YouTube page we hope you're subscribing to. And everywhere you can find podcasts, that is where the Discussion 5 and the Brothers of Discussion can be found. Thanks for checking us out. All right, everybody, have a good one.
Bye.
Hi everybody, this is Matt Klink of the Brothers of Discussion, reminding you that you can find the Brothers of Discussion at bodpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com. Find us on Twitter at bodpodcast, and of course we are bringing you content every Thursday, if not during every Monday Night Raw, every NXT show, every AEW Dynamite, every SmackDown, every pay-per-view, every major show happening in the United States. The Brothers of Discussion are covering it, so if you want good wrestling coverage, come to the Brothers of Discussion. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Discussion 5. Can't thank you enough. But to try to give back, we're here to tell you about another cool hockey contest that the Hockey Podcast Network and the Discussion 5 are very proud to tell you about. If you are interested in walking away with a $175 Cool Hockey gift card, you've got to listen up. Because if you buy a jersey from coolhockey.com before June 1st, so from the moment you hear this till June 1st, you will be entered to win a $175 Cool Hockey gift card. Now, once you make that purchase, your name is automatically entered, and it has to be a jersey purchase to be entered. All you have to do is go to coolhockey.com/THPN. And you know what? Mother's Day's coming up. So you go ahead and get your mom that hockey jersey that she's always wanted. And now you're entered for the Cool Hockey Gift Card Contest. Now, a couple little snippets here. If we get 10 jerseys sold by May 15th, this sucker's going to turn into a $200 gift card. That's right. So you want to share with your friends and your buddies what's going on here. Now, make sure you also use the promo code THPN to get 30% off the hockey jersey that you're purchasing. So just to run this down one more time, we've got coolhockey.com/THPN is the location you want to go to run this contest and buy your next hockey jersey. Get your mom a hockey jersey for Mother's Day, and then you'll be entered to win a $175 Cool Hockey gift card to give to your dad for Father's Day.